It's the Cook and Joe Show. Ron Cook and Joe Starkey. Sports Radio 93.7, The Fan.
Chris Hoke, brought to you by Greater Pittsburgh Plumbing. Let's not bury the lead here, Hokey. Actually, there's two leads. One of them is our friend Joe Kopp has his team bouncing back, his youth football team in Mars, from a 1-2 start to the verge of playoff contention. The other is BYU volleyball. Ron never dreamed there would be volleyball talk off the top today, but you and I were swapping stories here. We love volleyball, right?
We love volleyball, and girls volleyball. BYU is very, very good. BYU was out here a couple weeks ago, and they played against Pitt. Pitt's a really good, Division I women's volleyball team. They're really good, and they got after BYU in that game. But BYU's bounced back. It was fun. Last week I was out in Utah. That's why I came on Wednesday, and went to the Utah BYU game, which is a big rivalry, a packed house, and I was there with my kids. It was unbelievable. BYU swept them in three games.
I know they did. I
so
follow
fun.
volleyball. Little volleyball talk, Ron?
Yeah.
You want to weigh in?
It's like golf talk.
You would rather watch paint dry. You'd rather watch paint dry, right?
I got
How about Horse? How about Horse having his team on the verge of
comeback coach of the year?
Coach of the year.
Yes.
He should be the Mars High School
They
coach.
got
There's no
beat
question.
last week, though. Again, they're 2-2, right? Or 2-3.
Doesn't matter. He's on the verge of making the
It
playoffs.
doesn't matter, Ron. He's going to make the playoffs. He's got a tough schedule.
He's got a shot.
Stinks.
He's got a tough
His
schedule.
offense stinks.
They put a tough schedule on his plate this year.
Too
They did.
predictable, and his offensive line isn't any good.
Oh, you got to get in there, Horse. Get on the line with him.
Did you not go for it on 4th and 1, Horse, with your new
No, in fact,
offensive
we
line?
were 4 for 4 on 4th and 1s.
Okay, what were you, 4 for 4? Any quarterback
Yeah.
sneaks?
Oh, yeah, they're all
Yeah.
sneaks.
Everybody has one except this team. Hokey, let's start there. Can we please? I'm writing about this for the Post-Gazette.
Oh, goodness.
What a great chance to prove how much they've changed. The last home game here was a playoff game where
Yeah.
the head coach wouldn't go for it on 4th and 1. So here they're down by 9. Yes, they're in their own territory. Their defense isn't stopping anybody. Derek Carr is riddling them, and yet Tomlin turns it over to the defense. They got a monster back from Alabama, a new line coach, mean and malicious, and he's going to make everything different, and they're tough up front now. They have a 6'5" quarterback, the other quarterback sneaking twice, and Tomlin punts again.
Yeah, right after the game, I was on the post-game show with Pomp. He's on earlier in the week with you guys, and I had Coach Tomlin's back, and I still do. I think you got to go with his gut feeling. I think he's done a great job over the years of making calls and when to punt it and when to go for it. What riddles me when you talk about using the word riddle is that they have completely eliminated the quarterback sneak from their playbook. And you look how effective it is. Ben's a tough guy. Ben's a big guy. He can get 1 yard. He falls forward. He gets 3. He's 6'20". The guy's tall. He's big. And he can do that. I just don't understand why he doesn't go for the quarterback sneak and get that on the situation. But they haven't been able to run the ball consistently, right? If you look at in this game and running the ball, Najee Harris had 10 carries for 38 yards. He had 2 runs for 14 yards, so 28 yards. So his other 8 carries, he only had 10 yards. So there was no guarantee if you handed the ball off to Najee Harris that Kendrick Green wouldn't have gotten beat, that Trey Turner wouldn't have gotten beat, or Dotson. One of those guys most likely would have gotten beat because they're just so inconsistent right now.
I know, but why'd they draft a kid from Alabama who's an unbelievable monster? He should be able to get a yard no matter
but
what.
Starkey, you could put you out there. You could put Superman out there, right? I'm comparing you to Superman. I'm giving you a compliment here, right? But if you don't have an offensive line that can block you, you're not going to get there.
So basically, then nothing's changed with this offense. That's
well, I just think right now you're looking at saying, okay, and really it worked. He kicked the ball. 5 plays later, they got the ball back. 2 minutes later, 2.5 minutes
lost
later?
precious time.
They did lose precious time, but you think about it this way: it's a 9-point game. Listen, I see both sides. I'm not going staunch one way. I see you go for it and you don't get it. And there's a good chance, right? It's not as good of a chance
The way
as the
their
Raiders.
offense is, there's a real good chance.
Real good chance they don't get it.
You're all living in your fears then.
No, but now you're
all
2
living
touches.
in your fears.
And if they kick a field goal, now you're 2 touches
right,
away
but your
getting,
defense couldn't hold again. So what you're really asking by punting there is your defense to hold twice. One after we get the ball back, and one after that.
Yeah,
and there was no reason to believe that defense could
and
hold
there was
twice.
no reason to believe that they could have gotten that first down on 4th and 1 if they're not going to go for the quarterback sneak. I would love to say, I'm an old school Pittsburgh Steeler, right? Put Jerome Bettis back there, pull Alan Faneca around on the counter O or the boss G, and let's get that first down. We're going to get it 9.5 out of 10 times. It's not your grandma's Pittsburgh Steelers anymore, right? I mean, this to get a 1 yard on 4th. And you saw it last year when the Steelers would get down on the goal line, they couldn't get 1 yard at times. For some reason, if you want to run the football cookie effectively, You got to practice running the football in practice, and they're just not doing it. They're not lining up in pads, and they're not going big time running the football Wednesday, and Thursday. They don't do that anymore because they can't go in pads.
How bad is the offensive line?
I wouldn't say they're bad. I'd say they're inconsistent. They show signs of good play, and it's not the whole line on every single play. It's one guy here, one guy there. You have Kendrick Green blocking back on a counter play, and and the 3 technique crosses his face and makes the tackle. Freiermuth missed several blocks in this game. At times they struggle to get up on the second level. The linebackers and a safety in the box, they're missing those blocks. In another play, you have the receivers that aren't holding their blocks. So it's not just the whole unit's bad. It's one player here, one player there. They've got to put it all together, or it's going to be like this the whole season.
Do you try Hassenauer at center?
Listen, I think they're high on Green. I think that they feel he has a lot of potential, and I think he does. It's just a matter of him getting out there and getting reps.
Yeah, but they may lose games and lose their quarterback in the meantime while he develops.
Yes, they may. The big guy hit 10 times, but I wouldn't say it was all on the offensive line. Ben held onto the ball quite a bit.
He tried to make some plays.
Tried to throw the ball down the field, which he hadn't been doing, and he took some big hits. There were times though where each one of these guys got beat when they shouldn't have. But to say, bringing Hassenauer in, they believe in Kendrick Green right now. He's a young guy, and when you play a young player, when you play Moore, when you play Dan Moore Jr., when you play some of these guys, they're going to make mistakes, and the hope is that you can coach them up and they can improve quickly because of their high pedigree.
Didn't we get our answer then as to why Ben won't try to make plays, why they don't go intermediate down the middle of the field? We just said it out loud, that this week he actually tried to make plays and he got beaten to a pulp. Don't you think that's on his mind as to why he's getting rid of the ball?
Sure. But Ben's not a young whippersnapper either, though, right? I mean, Ben used to run around and break 3 or 4 tackles, right? Not one guy hanging on him. He'd have 5 guys hanging on him and still make throws. And that was one of the magical things about Ben's game when his first 13, 14 years was the guy could make everybody miss him. 3 guys hanging on him, and he'd throw the ball 50 yards. And he'd play background football a little bit, right? Backyard. And he's not able to do that right now like he was able when he was younger. So he's more of a guy just sitting in the pocket, just kind of moving around, letting guys hang on him. He can't get outside the pocket anymore like he used to and make throws.
What's your take on Ben saying he has no huddle offense this year, and Tomlin agreeing that it wasn't in on Sunday, said we're capable of it? My theory is that he's got 2 offensive linemen, young guys, rookies, and he's got 2 other guys in Harris and Freiermuth. Is a no huddle hard to run for guys that are so inexperienced? Is that one of the reasons they're staying away from
expand your playbooks. You're asking these young fellas to learn a lot more, which the professionals now, they should be able to, but it's early in the season. And that's the struggle you have, too, is where when the Steelers have struggled in games, Ben's been able to get the offense going by going to no huddle. I mean, how many times have we seen that? When they've struggled offensively, they go no huddle, and all of a sudden they go down and score, and they're able to get things going. And without that option, it's tough because that's been kind of Ben's fire starter, if you will.
So he was adamant yesterday. He could have doused the fire the way Tomlin did the day before, because Ben made his first comments after the game, saying there is no huddle in this offense except a 2-minute offense. Tomlin then tries to pour water on the fire, and then Ben comes out with a gasoline can yesterday.
We've seen that from time to time over the years, haven't we?
And he says we've gone from 50 to 100 plays on a menu for me in a no huddle down to 10 to 12 plays. Why would they do that?
This young fellas, Cookie brought it up. You got the young guys; they're learning, and you put a lot on their plate. How often do you see teams when they're struggling throughout the season, whether they have young guys or whether they have inexperienced guys, and they whittle down the playbook and just make it really basic so they can go out there and focus on the little things rather than having this humongous 50 to 100 play no huddle offense, and you have these young guys that are just trying to get lined up.
You just said that they're professionals. They should be able
They should, but you also got to think it's week 2. Right, so there's a lot to get adjusted to in the NFL.
But that's different than Tomlin said it wasn't in the playbook last week. Ben is intimating it's not in the playbook at all.
Yeah. Who knows, right? We know we've seen this back and forth at time with injuries, with other things in the past. We have, haven't we?
Yes.
We've seen this back and forth so many times, and I think there's some frustration being spoken on both sides here. Listen, when you go and you lose to a beat-up Raiders team, and the Steelers, we haven't talked about injuries, I'm sure we will. The Steelers got beat up in this game. It's frustrating when it's your home opener and the team did not perform well.
So what's the solution? What do you do with this offense to try to make it better?
You got to
Just
go.
got to keep running it?
You got to commit to the running game. You're not committed to the running game right now. And I think that the coaches would. I'm not sitting here and just trying to throw gasoline on the fire. I mean, I think everybody knows that. It's a secret. It's not a secret.
Well, what better way to commit? What better way to let everybody over there on your sideline and in your huddle know that we're committed than going for it on 4th and 1, even if you haven't run? We're going to go for it on 4th and 1.
Let me tell you what I'm talking about, Starkey. Line up with 2 backs and a tight end and run the ball.
Why won't they? Why won't they use their
That's
fullback?
not their identity. They don't want to do that. We've talked about this over the last couple of years. They want to line up in shotgun and run that little counter row. They want to run, these softer type of run plays rather than lining up with a fullback and just pinning your ears back and trying to knock guys off the ball and lead up on the backer and get a few yards. And that's what they've got to get. They've got to commit to that and show that they are going to go out there and be physical, and they have not shown that for the last couple of years. That's not their identity.
So your solution, run the ball more, commit to it?
I think you have to. I think you have to try to control the line of scrimmage. And the only way you're going to be able to do that is if you make a point to do it and commit to it.
So the running game stinks. The line is bad. There's no fullback. There's no play action game. The passing game is not creative and looks the same as it was.
Play action is not going to work if you can't run the ball.
Right. So there's no play action game. There's no creativity in the passing game. They don't go down the middle. How is Matt Canada's offense one bit different other than a couple of gadget plays?
Well, we saw the touchdown scored by Juju, right? I thought that was pretty creative, right? They went empty and they came back in motion. They had ace 2x2, which means they had 2 tight ends on the ball and they had 2 receivers that were back in the wing session. He ran that.
Right,
it still wasn't blocked, but he made a guy miss, and he got around Crosby. I think it was Crosby. He still wasn't blocked, right? They missed a guy. But that's going to happen. Very rarely in the NFL are you going to go untouched. Usually you have a guy there and you've got to make a miss.
So other than a couple gadget plays, what are the hallmarks of this offense? How is it different?
It's not.
Not encouraging. They're dead last in running.
Wait, you tell me, am I wrong? Have you seen anything different?
No.
I rest my case.
It's the same. A couple of plays here or there, and there's got to be a reason why. But for right now, it's other than a couple things, that's what we're seeing, the same kind of offenses we had last year.
Ron signaling from the sidelines to move on here.
No
huddle.
No, to break.
Right, to
break.
move on. I'm getting signals from Ron over here. He's my very own Matt Canada from the press box. All right, Ron,
does he
we'll
give signals from the press box? That'd be pretty tough for Ben to look up there and see those signals.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, but binocs in his helmet.
Ben will be talking about that tomorrow. And he's giving signals from the press box. I can't even see him. They took away my no huddle. Why can't Ben just lean forward, Hokie? Is it him or is it them? Why won't they call a quarterback sneak?
The big mystery. We've had how many offensive coordinators have we had since Ben stopped doing the quarterback sneak?
Listen.
Just do the math. How many have we had? 3 since he stopped doing it?
I remember Haley saying, we don't want him to do it. We don't want him sticking his head in there.
Then but every other quarterback in the NFL does it. Tom Brady doesn't. He's, 70 years old?
Right.
Starting in Pee Wee, tell me if I'm wrong. Can't the quarterback run up to the line or walk up to the line
and goose the center and go?
Pat the center on the rear.
For some reason, they refuse to do it, and I'm not sure why. And I don't think, other than Ben and the offensive coordinator and Coach T, I don't think anybody else knows why.
Coming up, let's move to the other side of the ball for a little while because the Steelers didn't distinguish themselves in the second half. Now they were riddled by injuries. But we'll talk about that coming up. You can text us on the Edgar Snyder and Associates fan text line, 412-928-9370.